hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
All right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, November 19th, the last weekend before Thanksgiving. I can't wait. Kicking off the holiday season this week. I'm excited about that. Hey, we got a great show for everybody tonight. Falco from Wicked Maraya. Ravage from Ravage. I'll be calling him first in about a half hour. We're going to talk to Lou in the second half of the show, so stick around. We got a great one tonight for everybody. Hopefully we're broadcasting and coming through because it seems like the switchboard decided it had to update itself right before airtime, and it's taken like an hour for this to happen, and it's kind of still running in the background, so hopefully we're coming through and everything is okay. Right there, Malice with Air Attack. Absolutely love that band, especially back in the early days. All right. You know what's funny is that Jeremy from Heaven Hell Records, he posts a lot of wacky stuff on Facebook, and I love it. The other day, he was talking about legends, and I'm going to get to this a little later on. You know what? We may as well do it right now. He was talking about legendary bands and how they use the word. And the singer for Warlord, the latest singer for Warlord, came on and said, well, you know, people do anything for a dime. And he went into it how Warlord is playing, and they're really just technically a cover band. It's not even Warlord. And the two of them started going at it. So if you're friends with Jeremy on from Heaven Hell Records online, go there and check it out. Everything he said, I couldn't agree with anymore. The singer was like, well, you know, if people are willing to pay the money for it, then, you know, who cares? And when he says, well, just like, you know, calling Warlord a legendary band when there's nobody but the drummer left in the group, and he went off like, you know, he's a legend. You know, listen, Mark Zonder's a great drummer, and I love Warlord. Bill was a dear friend of mine, and I did the first interview with him probably in 30 years on the show, and I had him and Bill both on the show. Bill was on the show multiple times, and, you know, so was Zonder, so was Mark. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of those guys. That first record they put out was classic. There's no ifs and buts about it. But the band never did play live back in the early days. They never really had anything going back then. It was just when they kind of got back together to do the festival that they threw together a lineup. So, are they legendary? It was a legendary record, but people do throw that word legend around pretty easily, I would have to say. And it shouldn't be done. And Jeremy was 100% right with what he said. And he got very offended, guys, about, what he was saying, but it's true. Warlord is nothing more than a cover band right now. Just the way I say that about a lot of these other bands that are out there with one member playing. It's only Mark on drums. Yes, Mark was an integral part of the band and a founding member, but the singer from those first records, he's gone. He's not with them anymore. Bill's not around anymore. They're trying to use it as a tribute, but it's just not working. And worse than that, I was on the Manila Road page today on Facebook, and they were talking about another band. I'm not going to mention the name of the band, but they were like, this band features three of the legendary members of Manila Road. And I'm like, who the freak is legendary from Manila Road, And I'm going to check it out because Mark passed away a few years back, and he was the last original member in that band. And it was the drummer, the bass player, and the guitar player that joined the band in 2000 or something. They have a new band out now, and they're using the Manila Road page to promote it, and they're calling themselves legendary members of Manila Road. That is impossible. Unless they played on those early classic 80 records, there's nothing legendary about anything Manila Road did after that, and even qualify three replacement plays to be considered legendary. That's just how I feel. I know it's a sticking point with me, and a lot of people I say again with this, but it's just ridiculous. This is how badly things have gotten into this business. Why can't these guys just start a new band, write new music, and just go on their own? They can't. They have to cling on to that little bit of something they had with somebody else that they didn't even start. It was done by somebody else. End of story. All right, let's get back to the music. All right, how about Thruster? Screams of Pain.
Times when pain, we can't find the game.
All right, Saber, bring on the night. I'm not able to play any more music right now because the switchboard is still updating, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting it to work. So we're just gonna let us see if it reboots. Here we go. It's coming back on now. It looks like. So we'll just let it go for a couple of minutes. But I was talking about earlier with Jeremy. I wanted to read it from you, but because the switchboard is updating, I'm having trouble with the internet connection right now. So I don't want to like bounce around too much. But he makes this post. And he says that a band called a legend with no members that made the band legendary would the term stolen valor apply. Now, he wasn't specifically referring to Warlord, but, Giles always replies to everything he says. He writes down, as long as people want it and the money is rolling in, who cares? And, this is one of the things that bothers me the most about this is that, the fans accept it. The South American fans, the fans over in Greece and in Germany, they'll take anything you throw at them. You could say this was the roadie for Manila Road on the last tour, and they'll go out and they'll go like it was Manila Road. They don't even give a shit. But they're wrong. I understand you guys weren't around in the 80s when these bands were playing with the original lineup. But if you're going to get back together again today, make sure you got at least the majority of it on there. You know what I mean? At least the key members. So Jeremy writes back, saying that not only robs the word legend from having any meaning, but also belittles an artist or band's impact through their works. You mentioning money and knowing that you are in a cover band. Your comment not only does not surprise me, but also suggests that you see no problem with exploiting an artist or band's works. Well, sometimes it is about more than making money. So So to illustrate this more for you, not to make it personal, but Warlord is seen as somewhat of a legendary heavy metal band, but Warlord, the current cover band, will never be seen as a legendary band, but you can always exploit and take advantage of that name. I believe the term is coattail riding. I think that's hysterical. I mean, everything I rant and rave about, and week after week about this, he summed up in a nice little paragraph. Maybe I should just repeat that every week instead of going on my own rant. And he writes down, okay, then I guess you hit a nerve. Hey, if it makes money, who cares, right? And Giles writes back, not a nerve. Have some respect for Mark. You're the record collector, and he's the legend. He may be sure. You got to read this. I'm not going to go read the whole thing. It's funny stuff. That's all I'm going to say. But he kind of summed up exactly how I feel about the whole situation. All right, let's get back to the music. Wallop, Metallic album. All right, Anger is Odd. Never Fade Away if they're brand new record. Check it out. Right before that, Wallop with the Running Wild off the Metallic Alps record. Let's get on some Ravage. I was going to be calling in a few minutes. We'll save the new song for after the interview. Let's do something off the last EP for everybody. Till Heaven Cries.
In their eyes, a cold controlling stare. The minds of fear held deep. Those who come forth, you better beware. A man of faceless pride, of empire friend to swear. Don't cross a woman's scorn. Even the targets can sit your hair. They will dare. Take it all, we'll take it all till heaven cries. Tears fall from the skies. With goes across the whole industry. It's a fate. Angel and devil above comes the sky. Where's on the hunt for the one they despise? The sanctable killers with death in his eyes. We'll take it all. We'll take it all. Rise. Tears fall from the sky.
Ravage, Till Heaven Cries, man, those guys absolutely kill. Okay, Al should be calling in any minute, and we'll get that interview going. Then we got Lou Falco from Wicked Maraya in the second half of the show, a great band from Long Island here in New York City. Used to love those guys back in the day, and it's been a while. I think we had Falco on about 7 years ago, so it'd be good to catch up with him a little later on in the program. You know, Ravage have a new record coming out. We're going to talk to Al all about that, set for next year. I keep saying next year because it's so far away, but really when you think about it, it's only about a month from now. So, speaking of a month from now, we only have about a half a dozen live shows left for the year. And then we're going to wrap things up. Only 3 of them are going to be live. The last 2 weekends of the year fall on the holidays, so there'll be no show, but no live show, but there'll be a pre-recorded holiday show. We'll do our Merry Mel Christmas extravaganza and our Happy New Year special. And then on December 10th, I'm going in for surgery that morning, and I know I won't be up to doing a show that night. But we're going to have a brand new show pre-recorded. We got a great bunch of guests coming up for the rest of the year. Next week, Dave Overkill from Destructive will be calling in, as well as Kurt Stoll from Restless, going deep into the underground with that band. Oh, hang on a second. I think we got Al calling in right now. Let me connect them over here. Al, this is Mike. You're live on air. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can hear you perfectly. I'm sorry there was a little confusion Friday night.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Listen, I'm happy that there's going to be new music by Ravage coming out next year. We got a little taste of it right now with Man-Made Ice Age. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I can't wait. This will be the first full length in quite a few years, won't it?
Yeah, actually, the last one we put out was a re-recording, so this will be our first all-new recording since 2009.
Yeah, that goes away by the end of tomorrow, I believe.
Yep.
Oh, so that's going to be fantastic. So for people that aren't familiar with the band and not, which they should be because you guys have been putting out some great music for a long time now, it's hard to believe that this goes back to the mid-'90s when you think about it. And you guys decided you were going to start a band in the middle of an era when nobody cared about heavy metal no more, basically.
Yeah, we cared about it. That was part of the reason why we started the band. I mean, we just kind of we were young kids. I think I was 15. My brother was 13, and we got into this music, and nobody else was interested in it. There were no bands playing around, and we decided to make some for ourselves and try to revive it. And fast forward whatever it is, 25, 30 years, and it's actually going pretty strong now. So we're happy to see that.
It really is. Can you imagine that you were teenagers and now this thing is still going today, and you've been active this whole time? I mean, you have other bands going also. I know Ravage is your main one, but when you think about it, your teenagers, heavy metal kind of died out around that time. It didn't die out for me and a lot of people, but for the masses and I guess for the commercial media market, that's where it kind of disappeared. But all the fans in the underground still loved it, supported it, and played it. It's just it was getting harder and harder to find new bands that were doing it, and it was even harder to find old bands that were able to stick together to write it out. So now here come a bunch of kids. You say, hey, we love this music. We're going to write music like this. We're going to play like that. When did you realize, or did you ever say to yourself, hey, this really has to be for the love of music, because we know it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard sell, with the way things are right now in the scene.
Yeah, we realized that pretty early on. First of all, when we started, as you said, the classic bands. I remember my first concert was seeing Dio in, I think it was 1997, and playing in a club in a small theater. So those bands weren't, they were still kind of sticking around, but there weren't a lot of bands to play with, and we ended up playing with completely incongruous bands. We were playing with ska bands and punk bands and pop punk bands, so we were completely out of left field. So we learned pretty early on that if we wanted to do it, we had to kind of force our way, just to get some attention, just to get shows, and just to get on something. And why did we stick with it? Because we liked the music that we were making, and we were brothers, and the other guys we got into the band, especially Nick, the guitarist, who's been with us since 2001. Basically, we were like a family. We got very close, and we had fun playing and writing songs, and so we stuck with it. We probably should have broken up a few times over the years, and maybe there'd be more of a demand for us to get back together or something. But we've never really broken up. We just kept going.
And you've kept that core lineup together for almost the entire run. At least since the record started coming out.
Yeah, we always had trouble finding a solid rhythm section. That was our trouble. We always had two really good guitarists. Me, I was the singer. I originally started as the drummer. We couldn't find a singer, so I took up that mantle, and from there it was always a problem trying to find a good drummer who could play the kind of music we wanted to play, and a bassist who actually liked playing the bass, because you could find guitarists who would fill in on bass. We could never find a real bassist, and bassists are kind of a funny sort. They a lot of them aren't into this kind of traditional metal music, so it's hard to find somebody who's got those influences. But finally, just in the last 5 or 6 years or so, we've got a pretty solid lineup of guys who are really all under the same influences, and all get along really well, and we're all kind of in the same direction. So it's a good time to be in the band.
It was, in the early days, there were a lot of releases, a lot of EPs and live records, and all kind of mixed bag and nuts you put out until Spectral Rider hit in 2005. I think that album really kind of defined the band, the sound, and the style that you guys were going for. Even though everything before that was really good stuff, I think that was a starting point for you guys when that record came out. How did you feel about it when you finally were able to get that full length out?
It was an up and down period in the band. It was good to finally get something out. But at the same time, there was a lot of, it was a really tough, the 2005 period is a really tough time in the band. The band basically broke up just as that album was getting finished. When we felt that we finally had a lineup, finally had a bass player, and we finally had a drummer, and then things kind of just fell apart. So it was bittersweet to finally get an album out and have a record label overseas that was interested in us and putting our music out. And all of a sudden, everything kind of fell apart, which we were subsequently able to get things back together pretty quickly. We got a new lineup together shortly thereafter, and that's what led to the Metal Blade thing and getting End of Tomorrow out. But at the time, it was really a really tough time in the band. I think I had lost my job. I was under a lot of stress, and coming out of the high points just before that, which was the demo we put out, the EP, Curse of Heaven. It actually seemed like a real downtime when that album came out. We felt like there wasn't a lot of interest. The band was breaking up. I didn't know if it was going to go on at that point. And then we got it back together as we always do, and continued on. It was strange, but yeah, it was a high point looking back, but at the time it was tough.
That's the most important thing, that you managed to work through it and put it back together again, because it would be a shame if we didn't get all the music that came out after that. And you're talking about the first record, Spectral Rider. That was on Carthago, I think, wasn't it?
Yep. It was only really released overseas, and we got some import copies that we distributed over here.
That has to make it hard. I mean, really, at that time, the scene really was overseas. That's where, like, the metal scene was really big. So it got to the audience that it needed to get to. But it has to be difficult when you can't get the album released here in the States where you come from.
Yeah, because one of the things about that album was that those songs we had mostly for a while, and we really believed in those songs. We thought, we got a really good collection of classic metal songs, and people should hear these songs, and we should record them properly. And we were very disappointed with the production of how that came out and the sound of it. And a lot of people still like it, but it was very raw and it had a lot of production issues. So it was again bittersweet, that whole album. That's why we went back and re-recorded it some years later, and that's what Return of the Spectral Rider ended up being.
I love the remake of it. I'm going to just say it as a remake, but, when you redo songs like that, I mean, do you take it as an opportunity to kind of tinker with what was not done in the past that you wanted to do to a song?
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I think just looking at the way we had recorded it originally, that was one thing, but also in the years since then, we had been playing the song so much that things just evolve over time. So it becomes almost like, you get a live version of a song, and then when you go back, you want to record that live version of the song with that new energy. And it actually, it turned out to be a good experience, because it helped us out with the future recording, but it also kind of got the versions that we always wanted of those songs down on tape finally.
Yeah, I don't think the new versions are so far off of the originals, but do you worry about that, where you say, you know what, we really shouldn't tinker too much with this, because, people expect to hear a song a certain way because that's what they're used to, but now we're giving them like a whole new version of it. And I don't think you really did, it came up with all new versions. It's just kind of like, it kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, it was mostly kind of production. A little bit of the playing is a little different, but I didn't think we didn't worry about it that much, because we figured that nobody we got this thing where nobody cares. We got to please ourselves, because who knows who's out there.
That's true. But like I said, the record comes out after that, at the End of Tomorrow, and you're on Metal Blade Records now. A label that goes back to the beginning of the scene, basically. With Megaforce, the two labels from the early '80s that kind of got everything going for us. I know one of the complaints a lot of my guests have had about being on Metal Blade, especially back in the '80s, those bands, that they didn't get any support from the label. There was nothing there for them. They kind of like put it out and forgot about them. But that seems to be par for the course today. Labels today seem to be just more of a distribution thing than paying for records or tour support, things like that. So what was it like getting signed to Metal Blade Records, such a well-known label? And, did it do everything they had to do for you at the time?
Well, it's funny, because it was actually, I'm supremely grateful for that whole experience. It was really like the last time that you could put out an album with that real label experience, where we had like a radio PR person and somebody who was pitching us to this, pitching us to that. And even though we were the small fish on the label, and maybe we didn't get a lot of a push, it was just a great experience to have that kind of old school record label thing. And of course, to fulfill that dream of being on that label that we had grown up with, and half our albums were that we bought were from that label. So it was just that was amazing. To add to the fact that we were getting ready to put that album out ourselves. Carthago and the other, European labels we had talked to, they had no interest in the new music. It was like we were really high on the stuff we created. We pitched it to them, and they were like, well, the new thing that's coming out is this Nightwish stuff, and you should put in more keyboards. And like, what?
Yeah.
So, and then out of the blue, Metal Blade contacted us, and we were like, oh, sure, well, that's great. You guys want to put it out? Because we were ready to put it out ourselves. We had no options.
That's true. I mean, it was always been a do-it-yourself type of thing, and it's gone back to that today. And when Return of the Spectral Rider came out in 2017, I enjoyed what you guys were doing with that, like those reworked versions of the songs. And there was a little gap in time. Then COVID kind of hit, and everything got kind of put on hold for every band. You guys managed to put out 2 EPs during that time period.
Yeah, that was another strange time. I mean, we were getting things together. We wanted to work on this stuff. We had this kind of new lineup that we were happy with, and we wanted to put things together. And we lost our drummer, which was Derek from the band CX, speed metal band from Massachusetts. He was doing double duty with us, and he decided he wanted to concentrate on CX full time. So all of a sudden we were without a drummer again, just before the pandemic. And then we hooked up with Tony, new drummer, who we happened to fall in with him. I think CX, one of the guys from CX recommended him. And turns out, he was a great drummer and he really fit in with the band. And then the pandemic happened and we were kind of thrown for a loop, and we had these songs that we were preparing and we wanted to get them out there, but we didn't know how to and what the situation would be. So we ended up starting to record, getting an EP done, but it was just a very strange time.
You guys have that much material. I mean, you always, one way or the other, you're always releasing something. You guys, it seems like you're always writing.
Yeah, we're always writing. We're always rehearsing. We're not usually releasing a lot of stuff. We're really releasing singles and EPs, and it's really hard for us to get a full album together and out there for some reason. It takes us 10 years, it seems.
Well, with the new record, how far along are you into the new record? I mean, is it still being worked on, or is it already recorded, waiting for a release? Or
we're at the point where I just got the final text done for the vinyl version that we are getting to our graphics guy. So the music is 100% done. The artwork has been done for about 4 years.
Nice.
I commissioned the artwork like 3 or 4 years ago, and that was done pretty quick. And we have a special artist that we got to do it, which we haven't announced yet, but I can announce exclusively on your show if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's doing the artwork? We actually, so a couple of albums ago, we got Ed Repka to do the artwork, and that was like another dream fulfilled. He did the artwork for End of Tomorrow. And then the last recording we did, we got Tim Jacobus, who my brother recommended because he was a big fan of the Goosebumps books when he was a kid. So he did the cover artwork for the Goosebumps books. But this time, we wanted to get another name artist, even though nobody cares about cover art anymore. But we, of course, wanted to get another name artist. So we're like, who can we use that we haven't used before that would possibly actually be willing to do it? And the guys were like, well, we've never asked Andreas Marshall before, who's done, he did the Blind Guardian stuff. He's well known for Creators. So I was like, I'll reach out to him, see if he's willing to do it. So I sent him an email. He got back to me right away. He was very, very courteous and very amenable to it, and actually very reasonable. And he made two paintings for us because we were going to do a double album. So we got 2 actual album covers, which are going to end up on the single album that we're putting out, because the double album thing kind of fizzled. It ended up being like an album and a half. Yeah. So we're going to put it out with 2 artworks by Andreas Marshall.
Wow, that's going to be fantastic. For people that don't know his artwork, I mean, just check out some of the Blind Guardian albums that he did, and you'll get a taste of that. But To me, like, as a kid growing up in the 80s, buying albums in the 80s, half the albums I bought were bought just based on the artwork because you didn't know anything about the bands back then. There was no internet. There were very few fanzines out, so you kind of went to the store, you looked at the album cover, it looked cool, you bought it, and you kind of rolled the dice. It was a hit or miss thing, but that's how we did it. So I'm glad when you, like, take that kind of time and effort, like, to put into an album cover because to me it is important. Maybe not to a lot of other people today because it's a digital world, but to me, I love it. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, me, I still buy vinyl. So if I buy a physical album, it's usually vinyl. And I still look through record stores, and even if I'm looking online at YouTube channels, it's the album art that gets me to listen to 3 out of the 10 bands that are just putting out albums. So I think it's still important. It's still important to me, and it's part of that album experience, that old school album experience. So I think it's really good to have a good piece of artwork, and what we came up with is something that's very different from the artworks that he's put out before. He does a lot of fantasy stuff. This is more science fiction, so I think people will be surprised, and hopefully we'll enjoy it.
Did you have any input on the artwork? Did you say, here's what we're kind of looking at, or something in this realm or this area? Or did you just say, give us what you got, just come up with something on your own for us?
Yeah, on all the artworks that we've done, I've always come up with a concept for it, and I've always pitched it to the various artists, and then I let them run with it. Definitely, I had a kind of a vision for what I wanted on this one, and he had his own spin on it, which is really cool. And it was a little different than what the original proposal was, but it was really cool, and it fit in with everything, so we went with it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this when it comes. Do you have a label for the record yet? Are you shopping it around? Are you going to do it on your own?
Well, we've set things up so that it will be coming out on vinyl. We know that. We got everything set up for a special double vinyl that we are putting out ourselves. And then from there, I'm looking for maybe a label to put it out on CD because I really don't want to pay to put it out on CD.
Yeah.
And yet people are always asking me, is there going to be a CD copy? Is there going to be a CD copy? So we're going to try to get somebody to put it out on CD or put it out ourselves if we have to. So we're kind of negotiating or looking for a label for that now.
That'd be great. Do you see the world focusing more on vinyl today than CDs? I mean, when vinyl kind of died out in the late 80s and everything became CDs going into the 90s, then 10 years ago or so, or maybe more than that now, everything started becoming digital, then there were MP3s. Then we kind of went back to vinyl again because people really started to appreciate, I think, that thick, heavy sound that you got from those records. You can't get that on a CD. You can't get that on an MP3. But it seems like everything digital is still a lot of the way bands go or things go today. Our next guest coming up is only releasing digital because they feel that's the way to do it. So where do you stand on the whole thing? I mean, do you like having a physical copy? Do you prefer the vinyl over the CD? Is it digital?
I 100% prefer vinyl over CDs. I don't really buy CDs anymore. I think the last CD I bought was the Iron Maiden album, Book of Souls, which came in like a special book and everything. So, and then I end up buying it on vinyl. So, I don't really buy CDs anymore. I think the CD format is pretty much dying or dead. But there are collectors who like CDs. So, and maybe especially overseas, that people still buy CDs. But for me, CDs are not the thing anymore. I like to collect vinyls. That's one of the only things I actually collect. So I've got a sizable vinyl collection. But I mostly listen to things digitally. And the reality is, I assume that most people, the vast majority of people will hear our music digitally, either just streaming it on Spotify or YouTube or something, or downloading the MP3s and putting their the MP3s in their car or something. So I realize that's the reality of things, and take it or leave it. Vinyl for me, and digital streaming. And I'm kind of, as far as technology goes, I just kind of go with the flow. But I like the old school album experience too.
Yeah, things that I'm waiting for them to put a record player inside of cars because I remember I held on to my old car longer than I should have because they took cassette deck players out of the car. I only put CD players in there. Now we got another new car and there's not even a CD player in the car. It just has the port for the MP3.
Yeah, I actually grew up with cassettes too, so I'm
Yeah.
not going back to cassettes. I remember the downside of cassettes. I mean, the cassettes actually sounded pretty good, and they kind of forced you to listen to the whole album. But yeah, there's definitely a downside to cassettes.
Oh, absolutely. I'll go one better. I go back to the 8-track days. Try to get a song on 8-track one after the other. You had to keep hitting the button over and over again, going through the whole eight or nine songs like to find the one you want again. That was a real nightmare. But those were the times. But, you guys are going to put the vinyl out yourself. You're saying it's going to be a double LP, which is really nice. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying how hard it is to get vinyl produced today because there was such a backlog over everything, trying to get them out there. So is this something that you got to kind of jump on right away to get an order and to do it, or can you get it out at the exact same time that you want it to be released?
Definitely, you got to. There's a shortage of vinyl out there, but luckily, since we take so long to do stuff, we reserved it about 2 years in advance. We didn't even finish the music, and we reserved the vinyl.
That's the way to do it.
And I guess our plan with it is we're actually going to release two songs exclusively to the vinyl, so you have to buy the vinyl to get two of the songs. And the vinyl is kind of an expanded version where it has some extra intros to the songs too, so it's more like album oriented. So that's our way of trying to sell the vinyl. So you basically get 4 additional tracks.
That's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait for it to come out. Al, I'm going to let you go in about 2 minutes because I have another guest waiting in the wings, and I want to play something that's going to be coming out on the new record, Man-Made Ice Age. The new record, Spider on the World?
Spider on the World, that's it.
What a great title. And what are you looking at? Maybe the beginning quarter of 2024 for the release?
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking probably early March, late February, something like that. But we'll announce it pretty soon.
I can't wait for that to come out. I'm going to promote the hell out of it for you. Right now we're going to play some Man-Made Ice Age. And you have a great night, my friend. I'm looking forward to new music real soon.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And my pleasure. I'll take care. Have a great night.
Yep.
All right, Al Ravage from Ravage. Here's the new song, Man-Made Ice Age.
Throw your blood to legs in the sands of time. was free to the darkness. I don't want to draw the light. And the smiling of the mirrors never take my soul to madness. My arms support the clashing. As green in the trees, I follow my dream. Lighting in the night world. I look for myself. I need it to now. Lighting in the night world. The deeper of the forest, the fallen makes your sky blind. There's a fact you will find. And the smiling of the mirror never take my soul to madness. Feel my arms above the clashing. Your mother thinks it's sure, girl. Your father, he only wanna drink. Your brother says you are just a fool. I know where you're located and in the world to a sorry. So now I feel lost on the street that inside is enchanting. And there's a war and there's a whisper. Can't save me. The other day you will be out of the mirror. Your mother thinks it's sure, girl. Your father, he only wanna drink. Your brother says you are just a fool. I swing in the trees, I follow my dreams, lighting in the night world. I look for myself, I need it now, lighting in the night world. There's wind in the trees, I follow my dreams, lighting in the night world. I look for myself, I need it now, lighting in the night world.
All right, Christian wanted to hear Steel Crown. There you go, Night Walk. He's taken us all over the world over the last few weeks. I think we were in France the week before last, and this week we're in Italy. It's funny, he sent me a message on Facebook the other day saying, is this you doing this interview? And it was when I interviewed Faithful Brett from like 1984 or 1985 when they were in New York. Somebody got a copy of that interview and the bootleg show that I recorded and uploaded it to YouTube. And it's amazing how he figured out by listening, how he even found it, and then realized that was me as a kid. I think I was like 15 years old when I did that interview with them. It was for Beverly Live magazine. My friend Roberta Powers in Connecticut had that great magazine, or fanzine back in the day, and I wrote an article for her magazine. So it wasn't like an interview like we do here, like a live interview with a band. It was just more a question and answer type thing. And the language barrier between my Brooklyn accent and their accent, that interview went nowhere. All right, let's get the Falco from Wicked Maraya. Before we do that, how about we play a song from his band called Mystic? This was the pre-Wicked Maraya band. We'll do Prisoner. We'll talk to Lou. Get us something off the brand new record called Chapters. Here you go, Prisoner. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, brother man?
How you doing? It's been a long time. You don't need the audio, the video if you don't want. It's only for the radio anyway.
Oh, I don't care. Maybe I'll
All right.
just get my. You have a video? Are you there?
Yeah, I think so. Let me try to get it on. I never had you. Yeah, I think I got it right. Oh,
Right,
very nice.
There we go. All
I
right.
like that. Yeah, very professional. I like that.
Why isn't it flipped?
No, it's straight on my side.
Oh, it's good on you. Okay.
Yeah. It's probably the way you're looking at it through the screen.
Yeah. So what is up, my brother?
Not much. It's been a long time. Like 7 years since we spoke. I think when Lifetime in Hell came out.
Exactly.
And I have to tell you, after that record came out, I thought that was it. I said, we're not getting nothing from the band no more. They finally got that out after 25 years, that music. I think we're done. And then all of a sudden here, we're working on new music. I was like, holy shit. That really took me for a loop, but I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it came across, we weren't prepared, I don't think, when we did Lifetime in Hell. I don't think we were, because it was like, we kind of figured it was like how it was when, literally, what was it, 30 years before that almost. I
Yeah.
mean, and we're like, okay, we expected, and again, it's our, unpreparedness. We thought, okay, the label's going to pop us on a quick tour. We're going to do this, do that. And the scene was very different. And we were figuring that out very, very quickly. That the days of, a band of our size, and considering we've been gone for a while, throwing you out on a tour or something, it's not there, because the money just isn't there anymore. It's very different. And, we were really hoping, we had some, friends in the metal church camp, and we were kind of hoping when Lifetime came out that, since Mike Howe, rest in peace there, was back with Metal Church, we were going to maybe hook up with them and maybe we could do something. And then we started to realize that, wow, it's not the same scene. And we weren't prepared to maybe do what we could have done. So it was really cool that it came out. We wanted to do more, but then, it did what it did. I mean, we were very happy with it. I really was proud that that record came out after, since 1991. And then the two new songs we did, I really like Suicidal Dawn especially. Thought the video was cool, and it was like, yeah, we could still do this, I think. And then we kind of faded away again.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't as long as the first time. But let's be honest. I mean, you take it back to Long Island in the early days. I remember when it was Mystic and getting that demo tape back then, and that was some great stuff. And the band changes, the name changes. Now it's the '90s. But even when the band became Mystic, became Wicked Maraya in the '90s, I mean, the scene was still vibrant. It was still happening. When the first record came out, Cycles in '94, I think it was right after that where the scene just took a U-turn and everything just started going in a whole different direction. New styles of metal were coming out, and Cycles sort of, encaptured like what the band was about in the beginning. But then as the new album started coming out, there was definitely a progression and a change in the music, going from Cycles to Counterculture.
It definitely was, personally speaking for myself, I mean, there were things I like about it, things I didn't. And as most have, as happens with most bands, different guys in the band had different ideas of where we should go, what should we do. And I think it all came out of a place of fear. Now that I look back, like, we got to fit in. What can we do? What should we do? And when we finally got around to, like, got back to when we realized we were going to release Lifetime in Hell, the only thing that helped was that, all right, 2000 was at 15, I believe. The scene was very different. Now it's like anything goes.
Yeah, it's true.
And those late 90s, it's like you had to have a sound, or it was like, oh, forget it, you're out. And like, it was a sense of panic, I think, on our end. And that made us do stuff that we didn't normally do, because and I don't know if we had touched on this when we talked last time. I mean, I'm lucky if I remember yesterday. But the demos for No Hope for Humanity, which just actually is now, I think, on Spotify. They just got it out. And a lot of people like that CD. Me, I've got one or two songs I like, but the demos for that CD, believe it or not, were heavy as hell.
Yeah.
Like we were even going, taking Cycles, taking it more, getting heavier, but keeping the Cycles vibe. And then I remember all of a sudden, like I said, the scene changed, and all of a sudden one day, like, there's split with the different guys in the band. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. All right, let's try to adjust some things. And I just remember getting in the studio with Jim Morris, and he sat down. He's like, all right, let's go over all the songs for what was going to be No Hope. And we played them, and he went, what are you playing? Because he goes, wait, where's all the stuff that, we worked on? So that was from a sense of fear, I think. And, I mean, we still toured. We had fun with it. It did get, some really good reviews, and people dug it, but I don't think it was our best. And then Counterculture, we really just dove in, try to see what the hell's happening, and let's see what we can do. And had some cool things too, but that was very, very low budget, very, we kind of did it ourselves. And it was at the beginning of, especially like John and Danny being studio cats, which, has progressed both of them amazingly since, 1998.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, anytime you're in a band with 4 or 5 other guys, there's always going to be a lot of compromises. Not everybody's always going to be on the same page, musically or where the band should go in any direction. But how hard is it, especially you being the singer? You're the front man of the band. You're really the face of the band. You're the one that people look at and say, he's the guy that will look it up on stage and everything. And how do you work that out? We say, well, I'm not really into these songs that you're writing right now, but I got to do the best I can with it. Is there a part of you that just can't dive into it wholeheartedly because you're not feeling it, or is that just a professional part of being a musician where you say, I got to give it my all and make it work, even though I'm not really feeling the vibe of the song?
Oh no, yeah, I'll put it, even if I don't like something. I mean, I will put it out there because my vibe is always, and I say it even down here, like in South Florida, I still sing all the time. I mean, you see the stuff I put up Facebook.
Yep, smoking aces.
Luckily, I'm in one of the most popular and successful cover bands down here, and we cover everything from heavy stuff to, Blister in the Sun or Jesse's Girl. Now, do I love singing Jesse's Girl? No. I mean, do I like singing Sweet Child of Mine for the 8 billionth time? No, but what I like to get across, and what Wicked Maraya always did, and which my band down here does the same thing, we put on a show because we are entertainers. And if people are paying their money to see us play, or they're just coming in to see us play, it is our, not even job, it's our responsibility to put on the show as if it's the first time we're playing every song and make it like, hey, this is great. It's great that you're here. You should be loving this because we're loving it. And, it's called entertainment, I mean, now I don't hate the stuff we did, but, luckily we all compromised nicely on a live set. So we were able to at least perform almost everything we did. It was like, all right, I'm good with it. But in the end, it was still stuff that we created, whether it was, different, someone had a different vision. So anything Wicked Mariah, I never had a problem going up and doing, whether I liked it or not. But our job was to also make the people, know that, because if we're up on stage miserable, that's doing nobody any good.
Absolutely. People always say like, they sold out, they changed the sound, they changed the style. But people don't realize, when you dedicate 10 plus years to a band and you're trying to make it, and you're trying to get to that next level and you're trying to succeed, it's not so easy to just say, well, you know what, even though this music is kind of dead right now, we're going to keep going ahead because that's what the people, want to hear. But you also got to try to make it where there's a mass audience. You don't want to play in front of 2 people. I know you would if you had to, but you want to reach that audience. So I kind of get that, where you got to kind of go with what's happened at the time and, without trying to compromise too much of your morals, but yet, kind of like go with the flow. It's a hard position to be in. Nobody really saw that change coming. It didn't happen overnight, but, the writing was on the wall. But when it did happen, it happened quickly, and, everything before it was kind of gone.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, and it's like, so when we got to 2015, with the Lifetime in Hell, now again, that was complete, like, Metal Fingers in the Air, that album, But when we did the 2 new songs, the good thing is, it was like, let's just write and see what comes out. And the 2 songs, there was no preconceived notion, no anything. And we just did what we wanted to do. And we were happy with it. And, the response we got was great, which was like blew us away. But again, timing wasn't right. And, honestly, in the past couple of years, we talked about doing stuff. And we're like, oh, And then it just came about, and then, John has really been working with a lot of bands and producing, and Dan, as you've seen the posts, I mean, Dan, got connected with Andy Wallace, and he mixed the Gojira album. Then he Ghost record, and now he's mixed almost everything of Ghost, and he's put it in the Atmos, and I think he just got nominated for a 2nd Grammy for their cover of the Maiden tune, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And, and then he worked with Avenged Sevenfold as well. And somewhere through that, Dan was like, I don't know if maybe some of the people that he was working with, he had played some stuff and they had heard it, or, Dan was like, we probably should still do some stuff. And we were like, all right. And, John's always been wanting to, and Mike's always been wanting to. And we're like, all right, let's commit. Let's really get it going. And whatever all of us can do, we'll do. So Dan was obviously very busy with the projects, but he's like, I got the studio. You do the final mixing. He's got the SSL board. He's like, if I can write some stuff, I'll see if I can throw some stuff in there. He definitely got caught up in all the the stuff with Ghost and Avenged Sevenfold. We were like, we got it. John, who's always been, John knows what our sound is supposed to be like. I mean, but he in his while Dan has very much excelled at the mixing and all of that aspect of the studio stuff, John really dove into the producing. He produces his son's band, they're called Psycho Hill. Now they're heavy, but a more modern sounding band. But he really opened himself up to what's out there, but also soaked up all the stuff that we learned from Jim Morris. And Jim was a genius. I will say to this day, I mean, the stuff he did, he brought out stuff that I never knew I could even do.
Yeah.
And he brought out the good parts of our band, and and the stuff he's done with Iced Earth and Sabotage, Crimson Glory, amazing. So I saw that it was starting to be there when we did the two new songs on Lifetime. But when we did this, John and Mike got together. Michael had a whole bunch of ideas, which was great because Mike hadn't, done a bunch of stuff in a long time. He threw some stuff in, and chapter 4, there's a lot of stuff Michael had come up with because he had an idea for a song, threw it in. And then John just sat and was like, finished, the Cycle Hill project. He's like, it's Wicked Maraya time. And boom, we were like, we don't know what the response is going to be. We had the time frame. Let's do 5 songs, but it was not, we're going to sound like us. And this is what it was going to be. And when he sent the stuff over, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, this is wild. And then I had really been working on, when I'm down here singing, getting my voice back in shape as opposed to just the weekend craziness, where I'm going to sing in the weekend. They don't care. I started to get my voice in shape and had a lot of cool ideas as to what we were writing about. And went in my little rehearsal closet, my walk-in closet, like I posted some videos on that's in place, and I could do it without blowing the walls out, with my neighbors and stuff. And John was like, "Whoa, this is cool, man!" Like we had a good vibe going, and when I went up to when we started doing the pre-production and stuff, I mean, when we got together, one of our posts had said it was the first time we were in, where his studio's located. We hadn't been in that same spot since like 94 or 96. And, I think he was pretty impressed with the fact that, my voice was as strong as it was. And he's like, well, we could really start doing stuff here, because, I'm singing on, I have some decent stuff here in my little studio, but I'm in a real studio now, and we just took it and then, took it to Dan's studio and just kept it going. And we were just like, let's do us. What does this song call for? And I am very proud to say, now, have you heard the whole EP yet?
No, 3 of the 5.
Okay. I am very proud to say that it's very much like a modern day in the terms of production and whatnot, but Cycles. It's got a lot of atmospheric, a lot of layers, a lot of cool vocal stuff, a lot of vocal harmonies, a lot of melody. I think we really captured the essence that we were trying to go for, and I think a lot of our old school crowd is going to be very happy with it. And the thing that's blown my mind is, especially with the Chapter 5 single, I've got like my goddaughter and my stepdaughter and kids who are 16, 17, 18 going, this is killer. And we're going, wait, what?
Yeah.
wait, what?
It's amazing how these teenagers today are into, our generation's music, because, we probably weren't into our parents' music back when we were that age, but I think they realized just how good it was back then and what they missed out on. And now they're having a chance to kind of relive what we lived through.
Yeah. And I'm, we're really, really excited about it. And then, it's so funny. I know, Mystic. Well, when Mystic formed, the original band was John and Mike in our band. Their brother, there's a third brother, James. He was our drummer. And after a while, he was like, things happen. He's like, I'm gonna go do whatever. And our second drummer in Mystic is Rob, who's in the band now.
Now, yeah.
So it's just so cool. Everything comes full circle because when the time came, to be like, well, we need a drummer for the, at least for the video, but even before that, we knew Knack wasn't going to be a part of the project, and John handled, with the drums and stuff like that. John's like, I got that covered. I'll deal with that. But we were like, all right. When the time came, we were like, let's call Rob, and Rob was like, kidding? I'm I'm like, dude, let's get the band back together. It's cool. We've known. I mean, high school, we've all been friends, so
Yeah.
it's just totally natural. And he's working on the stuff. I mean, we're hoping to do some live stuff in 2024. So he's been, he's like, just send me a set list and we'll learn it. Because him and I, played before I moved to Florida. We were also in a cover band in New York, so we played together for almost a year. So we've all kept in touch. It's all cool, and it's just an exciting vibe we have going on right now.
It's true, and it's amazing when you think about it that this thing goes back almost 40 years now, and that core original lineup, and now Rob from the Mystic days. It's rare to see a band almost 40 years later still have that original lineup playing together. That's just beyond incredible. And when you were describing the new record, I think layers is the most perfect way of explaining what you're going to get, because there are so many layers on that song and on this album. It's dark, it's brooding, it's heavy. There are so many things happening. I mean, you can listen to this record 5 or 6 times over again and still hear something new every time you play one of those songs. And that's what I think is really impressive. And more so than that, the whole concept and idea of what there's no song titles. It's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, and 5. And when you write a song and you come up with a title, people can read anything into that title, even though it may not be anything you wrote about. They'll make it what they want it to be because they just have that. This is like an open book, and that's kind of fun. I don't mean that in a pun way because it's chapters in a book, but I'm just saying, where did this whole concept come up from? Like, it's almost like an audio book to music.
Yeah, it's wild because, at the beginning we were just like, all right, we'll worry about song titles later. So we're like, in the order I recorded them is almost the order that they're in, but we're like, okay, 1. It was like song 1. It was just like a number. We didn't have titles. And then we sat and we're like, all right, as it was coming along and, the lyrics were coming together, and just in listening to them, the way we went in, and I believe almost the way like John and I did record the demos. The demos, I say demos, they weren't demos. We did pre-production. We every vocal track I took, because when we went up to Dan's, we sent it, and Dan was like, the guys were like, "Why are you gonna re-sing any of this? Like, are you kidding me? That like this is holy crap." So we're like, all right, titles later. Let's finish it up. We John and I did it in a couple of days in Valley Stream at his studio from a recording. And then when we spent, 11 days up at Soundmine in Pennsylvania, we were like, let's focus on the layers and the ideas we had to really give it the atmosphere, and still no song titles. And then, a couple of people had ideas for titles, and, we just started laughing because you're sitting there going, what are we going to call this song? I know Michael had an idea for the song. He had a certain vibe he wanted on the song. And, Michael's always one who gets busted on because it was kind of like, I know what it was about. I don't want to give it away, but we knew what it was about, and we're all cracking up, and we're going like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna call it?" Then we're like, "Why even bother?" And then we're like, "Song. Let's just call them Song 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're like Song." I'm like, eh. And I think John was the one who said it's almost like like it's like the chapters like a book, and then we were like, "Wait a minute." Then we started thinking, "Ooh, what could the cover be?" And then we're like, "Well, if we're gonna do that, we could do chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5." And we were all like, all right, almost all of us. I think Michael was still like, no, I want song titles. And we're like, no, I think this is pretty cool. And it got a lot of mixed reaction, but we were like, no, I think we're going to go with it. And then trying to think of a title, I'm like, well, it's 5 chapters. We're like, chapter. And, so we called it Chapters, and we've got 1 through 5. And the way the songs are organized, there is a thread, I can honestly say, that goes through them from song 1 to 5. And as you said, I do like people to interpret. I don't want to be too much of like a preacher, or I don't like pigeonholing us.
Yeah.
We've never been about that. Like, I remember, especially with Cycles, a lot of people were like, well, are you a religious band? Are you this? The imagery. And I'm like, no, we just write about stuff that if someone closes their eyes, will they get the vibe? Now, obviously, there is a theory behind every song, but I also do like to keep it a little interpretive, because even sometimes the guys in the band, which is why it's so funny, and I love them, and I love that they're like, no, you're going to pretty much do the interviews. And I'm like, why? Like, because we have no friggin' idea sometimes what the hell you're writing about. We get it. They're like, we do get it, but they're like, you can explain it. And I'm, even though I try not to explain it fully, because it's like, but yes, there is a thought process, and there is a kind of like a theme, like your chapter one's kind of like, like waking up, and chapter five is kind of like looking to, the future of something that is going to be better, because let's be honest, it's more of a society social, I say it's like a social commentary without being overly political, religious, um anything that is going to pigeonhole us, but it is, I like to say it's topical, and there is a thread going through it, and we were like, it actually fits pretty cool, because it, you know the guys were like, well, does it fit with the theme? And I said, actually, yeah, because the way the songs go, and at least in my head, they are in the right, and there is different chapters, and in some books, you can go chapter 1 and 2 are connected, you go to chapter 3 and it's another part of the book that's happening somewhere else, but then it comes back and ties in at the end. And that is exactly the vibe of this record. And I invite everybody, just interpret it how you want, get the vibe. And if it moves you and you feel something, I think we've done what we've set out to do.
Absolutely. Because when people first hear about this, without knowing, before you start doing interviews and start explaining everything, they're going to think it's a concept album from start to finish. And like you said, there is a thread through, but it's not like one particular concept where everything kind of blends into each other to tell a complete story. It just happened to work out that way in your mind and the way you put it together. But it does give that vibe of being a concept record, but it's really not.
Right. No, exactly. You couldn't have stated it any more perfectly. I mean, it is. I mean, who half the time knows what goes on in my head, but and it was really cool though, because once the guys really grasped on it, we were all like, this is cool. And it is a group effort a lot of times too, especially like when we're in the studio. I mean, John and I did the majority of the pre-production, the lyrics, but then we'd get there and some stuff we worked up on a dance studio, we'd be like, does this word work? How does this feel? Blah. And, everyone throws the stuff in, and it was like, I think everyone got it and everyone was on board, which was cool. Where in the past, especially the everything past cycles, it was kind of like, I don't know. This one, we were all like, yeah, I dig it. And then, and explaining it to people, and then, understanding it, and then especially us, like the five of us, like the inner workings, we kind of really know a lot of this stuff. It's like, oh, this is cool. And now we sit back and just see what everyone, is thinking about it.
You're going to get a lot of good feedback on this record. There's no doubt about that. I mean, do you think it's because, after all these years and, the band breaking up in the 90s and then getting back together again, 25 years later for the Lifetime in Hell record, and then, a little bit of delay again before this one comes out. Do you think at this point in time in your lives and in your career that you kind of know everybody, you know what it is, and maybe you don't feel that pressure that you did when you were Mausoleum and you wanted to produce and try to get to that next level? Now it's like more for fun. And does it make it easier now and more convenient to put these songs together and do what you're doing?
I think it does, because I mean, there was no, well, there was, I won't say there's no pressure, because we are very proud of everything we've done. And, John said it a million times. He's like, if we're going to do this, he's like, it's not like we're doing it and we're going to disappear for another 7 years. I said, we are going to do our best to try to get involved in anyone want us for a festival, anyone wants to come over to Europe, anyone need a band for, a week, 2 weeks, a tour, something, a couple of dates. We're going to figure out a way to stay relevant, because I really didn't think after we did Suicidal Dawn that we could top it. Oh my God, we were out for so long. And then when we did this, I'm dying to I'm going crazy to do more. And I know the band is. Now we do have, it's already in advance, but we have some fun stuff that we have ready to go even after the EP's out. But we plan on writing this for quite a while. I think there's plenty of quality material that this is going to roll, but we already have some bonus stuff that when we went up and shot the video, John and I got back into the studio real quick and tracked something that we think people, especially people who dig the Cycles record, are going to be like, whoa, this is fun. And we're also working on something else musically. And then, there was a thought to, should we make this a full album? After it was all done, and Mausoleum was interested, and they were like, oh yes, let's do this. And a couple of labels were like, well, we'd like a full record. But in all honesty, we were like, again, there was no pressure. And John especially was like, the songs are done, and was a moment in time we did these. If we add 3 more songs to them, is it going to fit the vibe? Is it going to sound the same? We have a cool little theme thing going here with the chapters. We're like, let's see if someone digs on it, and then we'll worry about the next full record, which we'll probably do when it's ready. Let's focus on this. So that's what we're hoping for. We don't see this as like a one-off. We see this as we're going to work this record.
Great.
And as I said, as I said the first time, we weren't prepared. This time we're prepared. We are doing what we have to do on our own. Massacre is obviously setting all this up. I mean, there's this first major interview we're doing. Dustin is killing it. But we're also doing our own radio campaign, even though it's all about it's the streaming. We've got someone working on our streams and that whole platform, because I'll admit that is not something I'm massively familiar with.
Yeah.
We've hired our own person who's also going to do some band public relations. We've got people who are going to come in and help us with the socials. I know how to make a post. I know how to promote, but I'm not a TikToker. I don't know how to go viral. I'm not, but we've got, young people that are in our little circle who are like, we could do this. Let's do this. Why don't you do this? And we're like, run with it. I mean, we've got, JT Lambert, the choir that from Pennsylvania that sang on Chapter 5. Actually, tonight I'm going to send them all out an email and say, have fun with the video. Splice it, TikTok it, go viral. You guys are in it.
Yeah.
You guys are in it. Go nuts. And we were so happy these kids kicked butt on that song, and they did. But we said, there's so many avenues that while we're aware of it, I'm not too hip on how to do it, and some of these bands do it on their own. Some of these bands have people do it. I said, if we can't do it, we'll pay someone to do it and help us out. Why not? But we're prepared to do what we have to do as well this time, as opposed to, when Lifetime came out, I don't think we caught us off guard. Now we are ready to do. Someone says, hey, we can do this and do this. We haven't said no to anybody yet. As long as you can show us what's going to happen, is this going to be a result? Let's do it.
Yeah, in a way, it's a whole different world, like the way we go out and get music, promote music. It isn't like when we were kids, we went to the record store, we bought an album, we went home, we played it. We went to the local, we come from, I was in Brooklyn back then, you were in Long Island, but we all shared the same clubs, Cheers, Hammerheads, L'Amour's. Yep. It was our place to go. We knew when we wanted to see a band, we didn't have to have a record or a demo. We just went to the club and we saw bands for the first time. We became fans of them. But today, it's not like that. Even when I started doing this show 15 years ago, my daughter had to get me on the internet and show me how to do things because I couldn't figure it out. And you're only the second interview I've done in 15 years, but it's actually a video because somebody showed me last week how to use it. I can't figure these things out, but it is a whole new world right now, and trying to adapt to it is not so easy. Like you were saying, when Lifetime Hell came out, you weren't prepared for what the business and the scene was all about. And it did change that much, but when you think about it, it's almost sort of back to the very beginning again, where every band's a do-it-yourself type of operation. They're all doing it on their own. And if you do get signed to a label today, it's really nothing more than a vehicle that's to distribute your album and maybe help you with a little promotion, but tour support is gone, dumping tons of money into the band is gone. You're really on your own with everything right now. So, I'm glad that you figured that out and you're prepared for it now, and we're going to keep this thing going because this album is so great. It would be a shame to wait another 7 years for you guys to say, yeah, let's try it again.
Well, that's what we said. We said, we're going to work this record. The single, and I love, Massacre did come up with a cool plan. They're like, we're going to release it early, and then the album's coming out, and then we're going to work it. And this, the YouTube video, we're getting hits. People are digging it. We've gotten a lot of likes. There's not, knock on wood, not one thumbs down. Everyone is it's been a positive. And, I do my thing, I post in all the groups that I can because it's almost like grassroots again. We're doing it all on our own, and we're cool with it. At least we know we're doing everything we can do. If we catch a break and a band says, hey, we're going out for, and I know even big bands are hardly going out that. It's not like the old days where it was like we're doing, a 2-month tour and we're going. There are the bands that are doing it at that level. There are bands that are the support acts for that. Do I feel we can go on stage with some of these bands? Yeah, I definitely think we can. But we know we're realistic. But we want to do everything we can do and stay out in everybody spaces as long as we can with this record. And then when this is done, we're going to keep going because we definitely have a lot more in us,
Oh, I know you guys do, but the touring part is really difficult today. I mean, besides the economy, and people maybe not having the money to go to shows, and COVID killed a lot of the clubs. I mean, you're in Florida; COVID doesn't exist over there. Thank God for your governor.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you saw. We were fortunate that the band that I have down here and the bars and stuff that were open, they were like, "You guys want to play?" And I know our crowd down here, and like it's Florida.
Yeah.
Our crowd's like, yeah. Where are you playing? And we went, okay. So we basically were one of the 3, maybe 4 bands that played through that entire pandemic because we're like, yeah, what do you want us? We'll play.
Yeah.
We're good. And we did it, And but it did damage. It damaged a lot of stuff, even more than already was, because it is our although it's resurging, it's like it's in a flux sometimes because, like I said, the tour support isn't there. Gone are the days of, when Cycles came out, we got a phone call. Oh, by the way, you guys are going to be supporting Metal Church in Europe. What? Well, like, what?
Yeah.
The Metal Church. The band that we cranked up every morning in Michael's car when Mike drove us all, he was the oldest, and we all drove to school. When the leader got in the car, Metal Church is going on. And we're like, wait, we're touring with them? Now it's like, some of these bands are barely making it out there on their own. They're barely getting the money that they deserve. And, so, I've seen some videos, some bands that, are huge and, there's like 10 people in a club and it's like, damn.
It's hard. I mean, especially after COVID, when it finally broke enough for clubs to start opening up again and bands to go out there. There were so many bands that were holed up for 2 or 3 years, not being able to do anything, that they all jumped out on the road. Now you had 5 or 6 shows coming through. Here, New York, it's New York. We're big over here. We got clubs all over the place, but we kind of got them dwindled down too. And on top of that, you have Megadeth playing Monday. This band playing Tuesday, another band playing. You got to pick and choose. Then the economy tanks on top of that. And it was just, I've seen shows, like you said, where there were 10 people in the audience. I was like, how can that be? I saw this band at the Phil Forum 20 years ago playing in front of thousands of people. And it's just the way it is. And then, like I see, there's a couple of young bands here in the New Jersey area that come on the show and like, we just bought onto the Anvil tour. Anvil's going out for 50 days. We bought onto $15,000. I'm like, $15,000? I mean, how do you come up with that as young kids? And then you got your touring expenses. You're making hardly any money out on the road anyway, opening up for Anvil. And you're playing smaller clubs. I mean, this is the business that they're in now. Then this is what they got to deal with. When you guys went on tour with Metal Church, did you have to buy onto that tour back then?
No, as far as I knew, the record company said, "This is where you're going to be. Here's your flights. Go." Yeah. I mean, we know what it's like now, and we were. And believe it or not, had we been more prepared, I would have had no problem. Like, especially when Lifetime came out. I mean, Metal Church was back with Mike Howe. I mean, we knew some of the people involved with the inner workings, and I mean, I think we would have done it even for like a week or two just to get out there and play. I mean, we're not going to go below 15 grand because then afterwards, you hear from different people like, we have still friends, luckily friends in the industry, still friends with some big clubs and touring, companies and stuff in Europe, and they would tell us, they were honest. They're like, guys, Tuesday night, if so-and-so comes through, there's not 4,000 people in our venue anymore. Yeah. It's lucky if there's 400. And again, we hadn't been in the scene for a while, and we were like, wait, what? Now, it was always Europe is huge. That's why we're focusing a lot, when this comes out, we're going to try to talk to the people with the festivals, because at least the festivals are a little bit more open to, let's get a bunch of bands, and if we could get, 3 or 4 in a row or within like, they all come out at the same time frame. We're like, we'll do what we have to do to get over there. If we can get 3 gigs and, be over there for 7 days or something, but we can hit 3 festivals and figure it out, and if it's worth it, we'll do it. They cover expenses. If we have to do something, we'll figure it out. Obviously, we'd like to spend as least money as possible. But we all said we just honestly want to get out in front of people and play again.
I know. I don't blame you. And to me, I think the festivals are the best route to go because you'll get up in front of a large audience in one shot, which kind of trickles down to everything else that you want to do afterwards. Because now you have that large group of fans or people that never heard you maybe that are going to become fans. But I was talking about this on my show last week is that even the festivals now, like Keep It True is a big one over in Germany, one of the bigger ones. And, I'm not talking like Wacken or something like that, but they have the show on a Monday. Tuesday, they've already announced the next year's lineup with every band on there. So, and another band is saying, how do we even have a shot at getting onto that festival when the day after the one just ended, they've already got the lineup for the next one. Our record is coming out in 8 months from now or 6 months from now, and we want to go out there to play and promote the record. We can't. By the time we get onto the show, that record is maybe 2 records gone already. So, it's even getting harder to get onto a lot of these festivals over in Europe because they've got tons of bands lined up that are waiting in the wings to go. But you guys, in my opinion, are the ones that should get that shot because you're pretty much almost the classic lineup of Wicked Maraya. So to me, that's a must-see in my opinion.
That's what we're hoping for. I mean, and we see it all the time. Like a lot of bands, someone drops out, someone doesn't, who can't make it, whatever. So, actually, I've sent the feelers out tonight. I've got a whole bunch more emails that are going to go out to all these places and just be like, hey, we're going to be ready. We're available. If you'd be into having us, Wicked Maraya would love to come out and, hit some of these festivals. And there are some in the States, too, that go on that, we've got some people that we're working with who are like, we had a shot to do something last month. But in all honesty, I mean, we'll admit, we just weren't ready. We're getting ourselves back together, everyone's, some of the guys relearning the songs, we're learning the parts, we want to, if we're going to do it, we want to plan it right. So we are planning like December, in January, the 4 guys up there in New York, going to be in Pennsylvania, they're going to be getting together. We've got a song list, a set list, about 13 songs. We may have like 15 total just to have for live, depending on how many, we're going to play. Those guys are going to get together, get everything tight. I'll probably fly up, once they're pretty much all done. This way we can just all do it together and get it. But I'm fortunate enough that my voice has held up. I could sing all the songs in the original key.
That's great.
So, everything's going to sound cool, and, plus with Rob now, I mean, it's just a whole different excitement because like he's like digging on this and it's like, it's something a little fresh and, we're just pretty pumped about it. We've got texts going on all day between the 5 of us. I mean, it's ridiculous because people read them. They're like, you guys are out of your mind. But, they're talking gear and they're doing this and they want to do this. So we're hoping that we can capitalize on, say, getting over to Europe or a couple of the festivals in the States, or even if it's like, say, a week or two, a band says, hey, we're going to, we'd love to have you guys come out. All right. Maybe we can make it happen. Let us know, get our schedule set, and we'll do it. But we're trying to finagle something about maybe getting the 4 of them to come down here to South Florida, and maybe do a couple of dates. And then if we can get some up there, I'll go up to New York. But we're everything's wide open right now, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens.
That's a great thing. I mean, Falco, when you think about it, I mean, even though the band's like the old school, the old guard, 40 years old, does this kind of feel like you have that excitement that like it's almost like a new band again, starting over? And, there's a lot that comes with it. You get all worked up like, oh, this record's coming out. I'm getting excited about this. We're working on a new set list now. So does it kind of have the good and the bad of both of them where you say, oh, my God, we're still doing this after 40 years? Or it's like, hey, we're still doing this. And we're having, it's like all new again.
Oh, it's total excitement.
Yeah.
We're like kids, but because like, when you sit back and sit and go, wow, we created this, and you're starting to see the response from people, and then it's like, whoa, this is cool. And, when I got the list, the interview starting, especially as I saw you the first one, I'm like, oh, this is great. Because, I mean, we sometimes hit each other, even when we're not doing this. But,
yeah.
You were a huge supporter of the last one, and I'm like, all right, this is the way you started off. And then, everyone's excited. Like, we're all throwing ideas in and chiming in, and we're like, this is cool. And the fact that, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we want to make something happen, but at least we're all on board for it. And if we can get it to where, we get a whole bunch of stuff, we're going to, gigs and whatnot, but we're just going to keep moving forward. The response to the music's great. We're already excited. Like I said, we've already have some stuff, in the can, as they say, for some other fun stuff. But shows and then even more new music. I think we got it. I still think we got it. I don't want to sound cocky or egotistical, but I listen to this stuff and go, damn. And the sound,
Yeah.
the recording quality that we got. I mean, John sounds on the basic tracks and everything, and then the mix. I sit and go, man, sonically, it's, one of our friends, this guy Todd Plant, he had sang on, him along with our good friend Steve Gruden, rest in peace, who sang on the Cycles Record, some backing vocals. I had let him hear the songs, and he's like, sonically, he's like, this is wild. And I love it because one of the, on chapter 3, he's like, there's a terrifying break because it's just like heavy, and it's, the way it's being sung and the sound of it. And he's like, it's just every emotion he goes that you guys are trying to get comes through the speakers and the headphones. He's like, it's there. So I'm really proud of how this record sounds, on top of everything else.
Oh, it's got an amazing sound to it. There's a video out right now for Chapter 5, so people can kind of get a little teaser. I mean, it's only a week from today. It's the official release date for the album on the 20th. But what I like is that, most people only heard Chapter 5 so far. I mean, the general public and the fans, that's all they've heard right now. And I kind of like it that you didn't overblow them with, constant songs off the record, one after the other, because then it comes out and it kind of loses that mystique, and you kind of know what it is before you get it. I just like it when there's that one song, you get that little taste of it, that little sample, and you go out and you run out and buy the record because you want to hear the rest of the album. So I love it that you didn't overdo it with the, putting out too much music too fast for the people to get into, because it is a different world today. People can't take in more than a minute or two of a song without losing interest. It's a whole world.
Yeah, it's completely short attention span theater.
Yeah,
that's what my keyboard player down here in my cover band says all the time. He's like, it is short attention span theater.
Yep.
And plus, we were thinking too. We're like, well, we only got 5 songs on it. So we, it's not like we have an 11-song album where we could throw out a teaser. You throw out too many teasers, you just throw out the whole EP.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I obviously we're here to do, I'm here to promote as well. In a week on the 20th, the full EP comes out on all the platforms that you can purchase it on, and we just want everyone to get it, enjoy it. We are working on. We did get a lot of requests for some hard physical CDs. Now, it's a catch-22 because it's a different world, and I've got people who are like, what do I need a CD for? But there are people who like the physical product, so we're trying to figure out a way to at least maybe have worked that out where it's cost-effective. Because you don't want to print up 5,000 CDs and then no one's buying 5,000 CDs. I mean, we have gotten a bunch of requests for hard, copies, but I mean, it's not like we got 10,000 requests for hard CDs, so we got to make sure it's worth it. But we do want to do some stuff for giveaways and promo. So actually, I've just responded to Massacre tonight. They were like, "Well, what are you thinking of?" Because they were totally cool with at least for the comeback like this. It is kind of a comeback. They're like, "Let's go digital, less overhead." Not that we know we're not going to be making millions of dollars. We're very realistic, but it's also less overhead for the label. They're like, let's just see the response, and then next record maybe we'll do actual digipacks or CDs. But they've been seeing some of the comments in the post, so they're like, all right, let's talk maybe what we could do that might be beneficial and not too costly, where we can put out some physical CDs as well. So, we'll have more info on that as the time comes.
Well, that's good. I mean, a lot of labels today also are doing small releases or limited releases of vinyl, because vinyl's made such a big comeback over the last 10 years. But, when you think about it, some of these vinyl records today are going for like $30, $40, and a lot of kids, I mean, I buy them because, I grew up with vinyl. That's the area I come from. Vinyl, 8-tracks, cassettes. But it's like, people will say all the time, well, yeah, I wish it was out on CD because I would buy it. But yet 90% of the people out there listen to everything digitally today. Let's be honest. When you're walking around the street, you're not carrying your Walkman with you, listening to it, turning over a CD. There's no cassette players in the car. I got a brand new Lexus, not even a CD player in the goddamn car.
Exactly.
There's just an MP3 plug in there. So, and my show's all digital. I still buy it because I like it for me, because that's how I grew up. But this younger generation, it's all digital to them. That's all they know.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I'm fine with that. Like, it was funny because at first we were like, what? Because you're ready, with the other mentality. But then, like, everyone that I know is like, Who, we don't buy CD. Come on, are you kidding me? And then we were like, all right, you know what? We're in the times. Let's go with it. And all we could do is, like I said, we could ask Massacre, hey, maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll, have a bunch of giveaways for the people who want it. We'll figure it out. But as I tell everyone who's been asking, we get a lot of messages privately. I said, we're going to focus right now on what we have, which is a digital release of what I think is a kick-ass EP that I think of people, I listen to it, my car, I got a new a Hyundai, whatever, the Tucson SUV. The speakers are killer, and I sit in it and I go, sometimes I'll just sit and park and I listen and I'm like, wow, this is cool. It sounds good. And you know what? I think people are going to dig it. Stream it, digitally buy it. This we don't have to carry a CD and drop it or something.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it. Press your phone and play in the car.
That's the world we live in today. Hey, Lou, I'm not going to keep it. I know you got a whole bunch of these things coming up. You're going to be asking the same questions over and over again. You got to repeat the same answers.
Dude, I don't care. Brooklyn is in the house, and I love it.
Yeah, that's right. Brooklyn's in Staten Island the last 30 years, but, as a youth, it was Brooklyn. But listen, if you do get to New York, I'm going to be down in South Florida in March for my cousin's wedding. So if Smoking Aces are playing live that weekend, I'm going to be out there.
Where are you going to be?
They're like in Pembroke Pines. It's like near Davies or Fort Lauderdale in that area.
Dude, you're 15 minutes from me. We're getting together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure where the wedding is.
We're all getting together.
Yeah, so I'll give you a call before I get down there. I'm definitely gonna come out and see you guys. But if you do make it here in New York, let me know when you're down this way, man. We'll get together. I'm hoping that you're coming down here to do a live show because I definitely will be there.
Well, we are looking. It'll probably be before March. So if anything, obviously we'll let you know. We're also looking to maybe do something up at Dan's studio via a little broadcast. We've got a couple of things working that we want to try to just do to capture the attention. But dude, you have been such a supporter of ours. I mean, thank you for the kind words on so far everything you've heard of the record. You get it. You're getting you actually are totally getting the vibe that we've tried to put out so far. So I think we're off to a killer start because you basically have everything we wanted. You've given it back to us. So that's what it's all about.
Hey, Lou, thank you for the music all these years. I can't wait for more. And I'm going to play the crap out of this record when it comes out. I'm going to force it on people, whether they like it or not.
I said, we're not going. Like I said in my funny little videos, we're like a fungus. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to keep growing and spreading. Wicked Maraya is back, and we got the band back together, and we're going to have some fun.
All right, you're on a mission from God, my friend. You take care, Falco.
Thank you, my man. See you
Good night,
soon.
buddy.
Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to everybody, all our fans. You guys, thank you.
You got it, my friend. Thank you. I'll talk to you real soon, buddy.
Later, brother.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
But I'm out of time.
right, I want to thank Falco and Al Ravage for being on tonight's show. Don't forget to tune in next Sunday night. It's one of the last 3 live shows we have for the year, so it'll be a great one. Dave Overkill of Destructor is our guest, as well as Kurt Stahl from New Jersey's Restless from back in the day. I think we have 1 or 2 shows live in December. Then we have our holiday shows at the end of the year. I know my girl Dora will be on the week after next. I'm looking forward to talking to her. I kind of missed her during the last go-around of interviews for her new record, so we'll have Dora on. And I got a couple of other guests lined up in the wings, so don't forget to stick around for that. All right, everybody in America, have a happy Thanksgiving this Thursday. Enjoy it. We're going to have some bad weather here in New York around that time, but hey, it's the fall going into the winter. What can you expect? Let's wrap it up here tonight with some Rogue Mail. Get off my back. Take care, everybody. Have a great week and a happy Thanksgiving.
Tomorrow gonna go. I don't think this is a sin.